What up, and welcome to episode 5, I think, of the Talking Marvel with Team Venom podcast.
I don't even know anymore.
I think it's 5, isn't it? Yeah, it's 5, because we've done the 2 Iron Man films, Thor and Hulk. So yeah, episode 5, Captain America, the first Avenger.
Yeah.
And on this week's, I will be taking the role of the negative Nancy. I am the Raw Rizzle for Shizzle, Rory Bailey, joined by positive Peter over there, which is Connor Frizzizzle Franks.
I'll take it.
How's it going, dude?
It's good. I'm glad we're finally recording. Now you got off your ass, but
Thank you.
you're welcome. I'm just gonna air it out. Just gonna put it out there.
And you are most welcome. Do you want to do it the same format of positive negative, or do you want to go negative positive this week and switch it up just to fuck with people's ears?
Let's switch it up. Let's hit people with the confusions.
All right.
Use confusion and it will be super effective.
Okay. So my first negative then is sort of a positive, but also a negative at the same time. So it's quite a confusing one for anyone trying to listen along at home. So I thought Hugo Weaving was fantastic as the Red Skull. I mean, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. So my negative is that it was a one and done for him. Because I would have loved him to have reprised his role. I would have loved there to have been a Red Skull reveal in Winter Soldier or something like that. Because at the end of it, they left it open by having him zap off Bifrost style. And we never got a payoff until Infinity War on that. And then it was a different actor and stuff. But yeah, I think he was fantastic, but it's bittersweet in hindsight on account of the fact that he never got to return. He never returned to the role, and he said publicly that he hated doing it because of all the prosthetics. So he hated all the prosthetics for the Red Skull mask and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's my first neg. What's your first pos?
My first positive is, I'm pretty sure I use this one on the Iron Man one as well, so call it a cop out if you like, but ask me if I care.
Fair enough. You could have said John Favreau was awesome.
Yeah. I think this was an amazing introduction to Captain America in the cinematic universe. Purely, I like to point these out purely because if you went to the cinema and watched this movie with no prior knowledge of Captain America, then I think you get a grasp of who this hero is and what he's about perfectly in this movie.
Yeah.
I think
there's
there's a lot of alright, for example, Thor.
Yeah.
The introduction to that was a bit. If you go to
but he was great. That's what we were saying in the last episode, wasn't it? The actual story was meh, but he was awesome in the role, and
yeah,
it made you believe he was Thor, and you knew what he was.
Yeah, 100%. But like I say, it's the introduction to them is all in the writing. Yeah. And I think Captain America, even more than Iron Man, is like the perfect introduction. Yeah,
definitely. Building on that as well, around about see, with me being a bit older than you, sir, I remember how like back in 2003, 2004, in terms of comic fans, especially over here, no one really gave a shit about Captain America. His comic book wasn't that successful in the sense that it'd been cancelled a bunch of times and relaunched every now and again where they were trying to get more readers in and things like that. So that was only a few years before this movie was like floated around.
Yeah.
Brian Michael Bendis did a lot of work with the Avengers, where he stripped the whole thing down with a disassembled event, brought them back through New Avengers, and Ed Brubaker had a fantastic run relaunching Captain America from issue 1, where he started with the Winter Soldier saga, followed by Red Menace, and then the Death of the Dream and all that sort of stuff. And Ed Brubaker's writing on that series was fantastic. And if I hadn't have picked up Ed Brubaker's books randomly as well, I literally picked up issue 1, read it and thought, I've got to get the second issue of that. And if I hadn't have done that, I don't think I'd have been that bothered about this movie. So in the end, I thought I'll check the movie out, see how it is, and how they've wrote Cap in all of the Marvel movies since that point has been very much in the vein of Ed Brubaker's style of Cap. which has been great for me. Obviously, there's the influence of the Winter Soldier for the sequel and all that sort of thing as well, which Brubaker came up with. But there's a lot, and I think he was an executive producer on this movie as well, if memory serves. But yeah, it was great, especially when you consider that at the time Cap wasn't the most popular hero, but now he's probably the most popular hero in Marvel. Same with Iron Man. Neither of them were that big. They were part of every Avengers lineup, but their ongoing stuff never really clicked. And then from that point onwards, it's the two of Marvel's biggest sellers. And this film and the writing of Captain America and the introduction to it, I think it contributed to that big style.
100%.
So, yeah, my next negative is quite a short one. That's why I thought I'd jump on your positive one at the end. So my second negative is the Human Torch Easter egg that they had. They had the Jim Hammond Human Torch in a glass case at a convention, and that's it. And I like the idea of the Jim Hammond Human Torch, and I like the idea of the invaders and stuff, which was obviously Cap, Namor, Bucky, Human Torch, and Toro. And I was just a little bit gutted that they went, right, we're going to show you that Human Torch exists, but he's not going to do anything ever. We're not going to do anything with him.
I don't think that was a nod to Human Torch necessarily really existing in the universe much as it was.
He was there as an Easter egg.
Yeah, I think it was more as much like you see Captain America. Yeah, he used to be Human Torch. Oh,
yeah.
Look at that. There's a human. Yeah, I think it was just a little nod to that more than anything.
Yeah.
I'd like to think Human Torch is actually in the universe and not in the remake Fantastic Four style.
Well, that isn't the Fantastic Four Human Torch that was in there anyway. It's the Jim Hammond one, which was from the World War era comics and stuff. So it was like, and because I've read all that sort of crap and I've hunted them down and enjoyed those things, it was just a little bit bittersweet for me. Do you know what I mean? Because I was like, I would have loved them to have just, even if they just had a guy at the camp whose name was Jim Hammond and didn't have Human Torch powers, it still would have been awesome. I would have been like, that's the guy! It would have been the Leonardo DiCaprio meme thing that I'm sure I mention every Marvel episode.
Yeah, you do.
It would have been that. So, yeah, your next positive, dude?
My next positive was the Red Skull being the villain.
Yep.
Red Skull has a tendency to do some bad things in the comics, but 9 times out of 10 he is normally just a little side angle. He's never really the main antagonist when it comes to an in-depth. My mind's gone blank. Like an in-depth.
I know what you mean.
In-depth.
He's normally like the puppet master or something.
Yeah.
Or it'll be revealed that he's behind something, and then they'll spend half an issue just giving him a good thrashing or something.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah. Whereas in this, he's in there from quite literally start to finish.
Yeah.
And I think he was. I mean, you mentioned he was played amazingly anyway. Yeah. And I feel like it was nice to see Red Skull and not be someone more well known. I feel like it would have been understandable if, this is a Captain America origin movie pretty much, for the cinematic universe. It wouldn't have been a stretch to imagine them putting a much more well known villain out there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they could have put anyone really, but I think one of the cool things with that Red Skull was that obviously Hugo Weaving, who played him, was someone that for years...
Never sounds like a real name though, does it?
It doesn't, does it? But for years, everyone only ever saw him as Agent Smith because of the Matrix films, which he was great in, but it was literally, you saw his face, oh, that's Agent Smith. My brain now is like, fuck hell, that's Red Skull. Like that, do you know what I mean? He was that good as the Red Skull that you didn't get him. You know how like certain actors get stuck in a role, like Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker in the early 90s.
Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter.
Yeah. And I mean, some of the stuff he's done since then. Have you seen that film where Daniel Radcliffe's a skinhead? A cop being an undercover skinhead. And you're just like, fuck off, Harry.
Yeah. But then again, that was like my reaction when I watched Green Street for the first time. I'm like, what's Frodo doing?
Yeah.
Also, Hugo Weaving was great in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, he was, yeah, to be fair. He was. But in Lord of the Rings, my brain was going, haha, Agent Smith's giving them some shit. How it would be Red Skull. so yeah. It's my last negative then, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed.
My last negative was a massive positive at the time, but is a negative now. But it's only a negative now because of watching, just because of watching back purposes.
Yeah.
And the negative is the post-credits tease of the Avengers, which was friggin' awesome. And you know what I mean? It was don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it at the cinema, and subsequent home video release prior to the Avengers coming out. But now, when every Marvel movie has a teaser that sets up the next film, and normally something that actually has a bit of work in there, and you know what I mean, has something that connects them properly, like for example, Captain Marvel's one that pissed me off.
Yeah.
It still explains why she's there in Endgame. Whereas, and like the Thor Easter egg, the Thor after credits scene showed Loki possessing Selvig and gave you a hint of things to come, or well, not even possessing, he was just watching them, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas this was literally a trailer, but it was an awesome trailer. But now going back and watching through them, it's a pointless one. Whereas the Iron Man ones are worth a watch, the Thor ones are worth a watch, all the other Captain America ones are worth a watch, and all the Avengers ones are worth a watch. But this one, you can just skip it.
Yeah.
So it's a negative in hindsight, but was friggin' awesome at the time. So yeah.
Fair play. Well,
your last positive, man.
My last positive is the foreshadowing in this movie, be it from the little details of when scrawny Captain America is getting beaten up in the alley and he uses the trash can lid as a shield, all the way to the foreshadowing of Bucky Barnes and his future of Winter Soldier, which I don't think any of us expected to come along as fast as it did. There's a lot of I feel like I never thought they were going to do anything with Winter Soldier in the cinematic universe.
No.
So it might be because, you know, big nerd, but as soon as Bucky fell from the train,
yeah,
I was like, well, we'll see you soon. But I wasn't upset.
Especially when you don't see how he lands already.
Exactly. Yeah.
And right for that as well, it was the thing of Zola experimented on him first.
Yeah.
Like, because in the comics he wasn't experimented on. He literally just froze in a block of ice, and they dug him out straight away and brainwashed him and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they were like, yeah, no, Zola's done some shit to him and experimented on him so he can survive. Do you know what I mean? My brain was connecting the dots, going, yeah, they've done that to give him a reason for why he's surviving that fucking fall, and yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't upset. Like, sometimes if you figure somehow in a movie, you're like, oh, sick. But as soon as it happened, I was like, oh my god, we're actually getting it.
That's the thing with these Marvel movies, isn't it? It's like you literally have these and you're like, yes. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's like if we ever get a tease of real Galactus, actual Galactus, I'll lose my shit.
Yeah.
I don't mean bullshit Silver Surfer Galactus.
Oh, man. You know what's quite sad? We said in the first episode that we were going to gradually get around to doing all of the Marvel movies, including the Fantastic Four movies and the X-Men movies and all that lot. The X-Men movies are just going to be 3 episodes of us ranting, and with the odd, but Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans were very good. well, the cast as a whole were good, just the stories were shit and the effects were shit, and the fucking Galactus Cloud, and man, I don't want to do those films. Can we already like go back on our own rules?
Yes.
To be fair, it's going to be like a year away anyway. We'll just save them for, you know, if we literally run out of anything else to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do the rankings out of 10 every week, don't we?
We do.
I can't remember what we've given any of the other ones, but I'm sure we'll be able to get a running thing when we summarise phase 1. So, what would you give Cap?
I would give this a 9.
Nice. Yeah, well, the average will also be 9 because I would happily give it a 9 as well. I think it's one of the very best Marvel movies out there.
It
And
is.
we were saying before this about that I can remember going to see this at the cinema and seeing the thing where it said only the last scene is set in the modern day, or someone spoiled it for me or something like that on the day, and I was pissed off and I was thinking, oh man, I wanted to see Cap being Ford and then flashbacks or whatever to that's what I was expecting, and then I watched it and I was like, this is fucking brilliant. I don't even want him to go to the modern day yet. I want more of this stuff. So
Oh yeah,
no,
man,
it was a great film.
it was like Marvel Nazis and real life Nazis. It's like the dream team.
Well, I like the fact that they actually kept away from the Nazis. I think
I
that's...
mean, it was Hydra. They're Nazis.
Yeah. No, I know. But I mean, it wasn't Nazis. It was Hydra Nazis. And they were working with the Nazis. And I liked it how they did that so that it doesn't take away from anyone that actually fought in the war against the actual Nazis. Do you know what I mean? They were going and taking the Hydra cells down and who were working alongside the Nazis, and therefore... Yeah, whereas Wonder Woman's turned up, she's killed shitloads of Nazis, everyone else pales in comparison to her while she kills more Nazis as time goes on.
That movie was very much Wonder Woman single-handedly
winning a war.
Yeah.
Yeah. We shouldn't do a DC one of these.
No.
Unless we're just going to talk about the same 3 films that were all right over and over again. But yeah, no. So 9 out of 10. Not really much more to say on this, is there? Just
no, we can wrap this one up.
Yeah. Well, it's been emosh, and thanks for listening, everyone at home. I've been King_Roster on the old Twitters. He's been the Connor Franks on the old Twitter, and you can find us at Team Venom Media on Twitter. You can also hit us up on our website that's been going through a major overhaul over the last few weeks, which is teamvenommedia.co.uk, where you'll see loads of articles from the pair of us, over 100 interviews on there from the last 7 years that we've been going, and that's text-based interviews as well. All our audio ones have been making their way to Spotify in some way, shape or form. And we're also trying to keep abreast of the current news topics on a day-to-day basis. However, we're not like after clickbait articles and stuff. We literally share news when we think it's actually worth sharing. So you'll get 1 or 2 news pieces a day. And that's all there is to say about that. So yeah, thanks for listening to us. Check out our site, check us out on Twitter, and we'll see you next week when we talk about the Avengers. So yeah, thanks.